Happy Monday, everybody. How are we today? I am just going to, I'm not avoiding anybody. I am just trying to share this video onto my page, which I used to do, and for some reason, I haven't been doing it lately. Anyways, I wanted to start today by just saying, I had a great week last week as far as, just kind of stepping back and not working so hard, not trying so hard, not doing those ings so hard all the time, and just really beginning to just take a little step back and saying, hey, what is it that I want to do? Like, are the things that I'm doing, working in my mind? Are they bringing me joy? Do I feel good about them? Am I like feeling like this is the right step for me? Like some of the things that I was trying to do. So, um, so it was a really great week and kind of just taking a step back, wanting to say, hey, I want to begin to really feel into what it would be like to look at this from a different perspective, right? So I do a Course in Miracles every morning. So one of the lessons it's an early on lesson, and it talks about how everything you look at, wait a minute, I want to say it right, and everything, you give everything you give everything that you see the meaning in your life. So if you see a computer, you're the one who gives it the meaning. So to some people it might mean work, to some people it might mean play, to some people it might mean freedom, to some people it might mean restriction, to some people it might mean have the connotation of something that like their husband cheated on them on an online dating thing or something like that. So every time I see a computer, so it's like we give the meaning to everything that we see. And this week, I really want to dive into that a little bit deeper by saying, first of all, be aware of that. So if we see things in our life, what are the meaning that we put behind it? What is the like the energy that we're getting from it? So you see you see the computer, you see a door, or you see a pair of glasses, and some people it's like, oh my God, I'm so glad that I have them, and other people it's like, oh my God, I wish I didn't have to wear them. I'm getting old. And it's really beginning to understand that what we see and what we have in our lives and the stories behind it all and the thoughts that we have behind it all are in our control. And I know this is so hard sometimes to wrap your brain around, and like that human brain of ours that wants to make sense of everything, that wants to make it, our brains have, functions. We want to, find the easiest way possible to do something. We want to either seek pleasure or avoid pain, right? I mean, that's what the brain is programmed to do. So when you see something like a computer, all right, we'll just keep going with that. What do you want it to mean for you? Do you want it to mean freedom? Do you want it to mean financial success? Do you want it to mean, gaming and play? Like, what is it that you want? And, there is no right or wrong with any of it. There isn't. There's no right way to do this. There's no wrong way to have the thoughts about it. It's just the thoughts that you have about it. And begin to look at them and begin to evaluate them. Don't judge them, and just say, hey, is this serving me? So how does this look for weight loss? So when you're wanting to lose some weight and you begin to look around at the scale, you look at food, you look at the refrigerator, you look at your cabinets, you look at all that, and you look at it from a fresh new way, like saying, okay, look, I'm committed to losing weight. I am committed to figure out how to do this in a way that I've not done it before. I'm committed to do this in a way that I want lifelong success for, right? And when I say lifelong success, what I mean by that is not necessarily that you will never be, 5 pounds, within your range, or 10 pounds within your range. But it means that when that happens, you understand that it has not, like it's not that there's anything wrong with you. It's that you need to reevaluate what you're doing. You need to look and say, okay, look, okay, all of a sudden I'm, eating a lot more stuff than I normally don't, or I've, I haven't exercised, or I have, and just evaluate it. You don't judge yourself. You don't get on that scale and say, you're an idiot. You've tried this before. You can't do it again. So, you don't beat yourself up. You just say, hey, wait a minute. Now let's just stop a second. The struggle is when we try to fight with reality, right? So we're beginning to look at, how do I look at all these things in a new way? In my program, one of the things I really encourage everybody to do is really begin to look at what their thoughts are about the scale. Get on that scale every single day. It is a number, and I know that it's a chart, like it's such a charged thing, like if you're not at the weight that you want. But what it can do is begin to take that energy away and get it neutral, to say, okay, it's an issue that I want to address. I have the scale says 175. I want it to say 145, and it's just and looking at it from a whole different perspective, instead of getting on the scale, beating yourself up, telling yourself you're a loser, telling yourself, oh my God, how did this happen again? Here I am again. I got to go deprive myself. I got to do this. I have to do this, and all these have tos and all these ings. I have to figure. I got to keep trying to do this, and it's like, that's what I mean by ending this struggle. It's becoming like, and I say this often. My theory behind losing weight is, yes, the weight is a byproduct of something, but we got to begin to look at, why are you eating? This is a journey of self-love. It is a journey to be your own best friend. It is a journey to have your own back. It is a journey to know that it's taking your power back, to know that you are the only one who knows what is best for you. You are the only one who knows what will work for you. And when you can get honest with yourself and say, all right, like, yes, I've tried paleo, I've tried, keto, I've tried fasting, I've tried, the cauliflower diet, I've tried the pickle diet, I've tried all of these things. And you say to yourself, all right, this is what I liked about this one, this is what I liked about that one. And I've shared this with you a whole bunch of times. My journey on my weight loss and begin to learn how to have my own back started with me thinking that the only way that I could lose weight was if I had to drink green juice, I had to eat only really good foods, I had to clean eat, it all had to be organic, it all had to be this, it had to look a certain way, because that was the thought that I had about it. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to look that way if it's not going to look that way for you. It can look any way that you need it to look. It doesn't mean that you have to exercise every day. It just means that you need to begin to start to look at yourself, take your own power back. Take your power back. Stop giving your power away. When I started to do that and started to ask myself, what does this feel like for me? How can I get this to be a part of what I want? How can this be a part of what's going to work for me? Because I'm not willing to drink green juice and kale and like all these stuff that I just don't like. I'm not willing to do that. So I had to really navigate for myself. What is it that I am willing to do? What does this food stuff mean for me? Like, because food was meaning something for me. It was allowing me, for me, it was always like it was either the salty chips or that sort of stuff, or it's the sugar, right? Like the gummy bears and that sort of thing. I didn't particularly eat a whole lot of a lot of cakes and brownies, all that sort of stuff. That's usually not my go-to thing. But the reason why I was doing that was to avoid something. I could literally look back on all those times that I was overeating, and could say to myself, I was doing it because I was trying to avoid something that was going on. I didn't want to face a feeling that I was having. And the process of losing weight is the journey of learning how to be uncomfortable, feeling a feeling all the way through to the other side of it, and knowing you're going to be okay. And that takes self-love. That takes knowing that you can handle anything, any feeling. There's so many things going on right now, between, racism and COVID and death and like, financial stuff. Like, everybody has something right now. And it's like, do you want to be the person that runs to McDonald's to deal with this? Do you want to be the person that runs to a pill that deals with this? Do you want to be the person who runs to, the internet and Netflix and all of that sort of stuff? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with any one of those things, but I'm saying if that's not how you want to do it, There are options how to handle things a little bit differently. It does entail being uncomfortable. It does entail understanding that the worst thing that can ever happen is a feeling of shame, a feeling of hurt, a feeling of emptiness, a feeling of being lost, a feeling of abandonment. Like it's a feeling. And I know that it's so charged with whatever we attach to that. But when we can begin to look at all of this stuff with brand new eyes, looking at it from a place of, okay, the only meaning that I give to any of this is the meaning that I give it. And when you can look at something and say, I get to choose how I want to look at this, I get to choose, it almost like relaxes it a little bit. It puts you in a space of neutrality that says, okay, here is this thing that I'm giving so much attention to, even like a light switch, or like even the simplistic things. We look at our socks and we think that, oh my God, like it's a sock, and but when we can get creative and start to say, how else could I think about this sock? It's comforting me, it's holding me. So people who are feeling not supported, or you're feeling abandoned, or you're feeling that nobody cares about you, or anything like that, and you can look at these socks and say, these socks are wrapping themselves around my feet so that they stay comfortable in my shoes. I know that sounds really silly, but it does begin to say, okay, that's not true. It debunks all sorts of thoughts that you have that, oh, you're not supported. How about even if you're not feeling you're supported, like the floor is supporting you wherever you are right now. The chair that you're sitting in is supporting you. You have support. You just have to begin to look at things and be open to look at things just a little bit differently. So that is my tip of the day. Begin to question and look at and just say to yourself, everything that I'm seeing, I'm giving the meaning to. Is this the meaning that I want it to have? Is it supporting me? Is it going to help me to get where I want to go? Is it going to bring joy into my life, right? Because that's really what this is all about. Now, what there's a 50-50, there's that 50-50 thing, and I always like to say it's 51-49. If we can get to 51% of the time that you're feeling pretty good about life and you're in that joy place, it's okay for that other 49%. We're human. We don't want to feel good when somebody's hurting. Like, you don't want to walk into a funeral, or you don't want to walk into a friend who's just lost somebody, or you don't want to go in there feeling joy. I mean, I think when we can not have that bar of, oh, we need to be in joy, all the time, that's bullshit. Like, it's just not real. Like, psychopath, that's a psychopath. Like, somebody who doesn't feel anything. I don't want to feel happy when somebody I love is hurting. I don't want to feel happy about that. I want to be able to, be compassionate toward that person. And I can only do that by listening and really being present. And if I'm sitting there saying, oh, don't worry about that, it's all okay, like that's not listening to them. It's not allowing them to be who they are. So, everybody who tends to think, oh, it's just put a smile on it and rainbows and sherbet, like that's not what this is about. That's not what I'm teaching. That's not what I have to say. What I have to say is, 51% of the time is going to be, you have that option to have it that way. And the other 49% is going to suck. But it's okay, because that's what growth is. Growth is getting through the sucky shit and seeing it to the other side and saying, hey, look, I just did that. Now what's next? Right? And because there's always going to be something. So start beginning today just to settle into everything that you see you've given meaning to. And what does that mean for you? Is it the meaning that you want to give it? So happy Monday, y'all. Have a fabulous day, and I'll see you tomorrow.